decimal, percent, and fractions conversion. I'll give you a brief overview of decimal, percent, and fractions before going into the conversion part. What is a decimal? A decimal is a fraction whose denominator is a power of 10. The numerator is displayed next to a decimal point, with a 0 to the left of the decimal point. An example of this is 0.34. 0.34 is a decimal because it is equivalent to the fraction 34 over 100. We can also say 34 hundredths because it is a fraction. How to better understand the decimal. An example of this is 45.6. This number is said as 45 and 6/10, which is also equivalent of 40 plus 5 plus 6 divided by 10, or 0.6. Place value. As you can see in this picture, it's a real-life example of a low clearance board, which is usually placed on overpasses. The ones place is 4, the tenths place is 2, and the hundredths place is a 0, shown below. The example, there is 327.5. There is the 3 in the hundredths place, which makes it 300, the 2 in the tens place, which makes it 2 tens, the 7 in the ones place, which makes it 7 ones, or pretty much 7, and the 0.5 or 1/2 in the tens place, which makes it 5 tenths. When talking about whole numbers, you don't include the tenths, as you can see in the 5 tenths. For more help on decimals, you can go to this website, Math is Fun, decimals.html, since this is just a review of decimals. Fractions. Fractions are numbers which represent a part of a whole. For more information, as seen below, go to this website. The shape below represents 3/4 of a circle, or 3/4 as a fraction. The rules of a fraction. The numerator on top of the bar, as seen on the picture below, the denominator is the number below the bar, as seen in the picture below. One of the biggest rules of fractions is you cannot have a 0 in the denominator unless the numerator is 0. This is because nothing multiplied by 0 can equal a whole number. Also, you can also add infinite zeros after a number in the decimal place. So the 0.34 is equal to 0.34000, which is equal to 0.34000, so on. A percent. The percent is a special type of fraction, which basically means per hundred. Percent is denoted by the symbol. Percent is just a number over 100. So 20% is just 20 over 100. 50% of 80 is just half of 80, which is 40. To find the percent, you multiply the percent by that number. For example, 20% of 100 is 20 over 100, which is 20 over 100 times 100 is equal to 20. Decimal to percent and percent to decimal conversion. 0.34. Since this is already in the hundredths place, the percent is just 34%, or 34 over 100. This is basically just 34 over 100, which is basically a percent. 0.1. 0.1 is basically 0.10, because you can add infinite zeros after the decimal place. This is just 10 over 100, or 10%, as seen in the description of a decimal. 0.778. This is kind of more tricky because if you make it a fraction, it becomes 778 over 1000. However, you can just find the decimal by moving the decimal place you can find the percent by moving the decimal place of the numerator and denominator, or multiply the numerator by 0.1 to get 77.8 over 100, or 77.8%. 56%. If you take to convert percents to fractions and to decimals, Just take away the percent sign and move the decimal place 2 times to the right. If you do it right, you would get 0.56. Fraction to decimal or decimal to fraction conversion. To convert from fraction to decimal, divide the numerator from the denominator. So 3 divided 3/4 is just basically 3 divided by 4, which is 0.75. To convert from decimal to fraction, you can see the steps in the picture below. First, write down the decimal over the number 1. Multiply the top and bottom by 10 for every number after the decimal point. So, for example, the example 0.75, you divide that by 1. Then you multiply the you multiply the numerator and denominator by every number in the decimal, which, as you can see, 0.75 has 2 numbers after the decimal place. After multiplying it, you move the decimal place according to the number multiplied, and then simplify the fraction. Now fraction to percent or percent to fraction conversion. Take the fraction example 4/5. You'd first convert the decimal by dividing 4 by 5, and then you will get 0.8. Then convert to percent by taking the 0.8 and adding a 0 to get 0.80. Finally, you can make it a fraction. Make the fraction 80 over 100 to get the percent 80%, since percent is just basically a number over 100. Now, percent to fraction. The percent example is 60%. You know that 60% is equal to 0.6. Then you can make that decimal a fraction by putting 60 over 100, which is just 60 over 100. Then you can simplify the fraction by taking out the 20 from the numerator and denominator. You get 3 divided by